Postseason is upon us, and we have some crew assignments that we'd like to let you know about. First off, let's start with the expected. Angel didn't get a Division Series or wild card, or Joe didn't get a Division Series or wild card observation. Don't read too much into it. The lawsuit has nothing to do with it. Again, the thing about Angel is he had a good streak of consecutive postseasons, so this could be a down year for him, or they could be saving him and or Joe for the championship series. Remember, the LCS is always going to have a swap in it because there are people who work the wild card games that aren't eligible to work the championship series, i.e. they've never worked a division series before. There are 3 of them this year on the wild card crews, so that's at least 3, and then remember that the crews expand from 6 to 7 as you get to the championship series round. So that's 2 more, so there will be at least 5 guys who we have not seen in the wild card games who get assigned to the league championship series. And oh boy, that could be fun. But let's start with the people who are actually working. The NL wild card, Brewers and Nationals. Everett is your plate umpire. He'll be joined by Danley, Nelson, Blazer, Rackley, and Torres. Carlos Torres with his first Wild Series. Wow. His first wild card assignment. That's his first postseason assignment. And he's one of the aforementioned not eligible to work the championship series because it's his first postseason. So congratulations to him. And Mike Everett gets the nod behind the plate. That should tell you something about how the league views his plate calling ability. They moved the crew chief out from behind the plate for the wildcard games a few years back. It used to be that they would work the plate. Now they work second base. Jeff Nelson is working second base. They did it for 2 reasons. Number one, the league did not want to be limited on the guys that they could put behind the plate. If you restrict it to crew chiefs for the crews, then you're very limited in your ability to do that. So they didn't want to be limited. They wanted their best guys out there. And number 2, if you have a disagreement with the guy behind the plate, you can still talk to the crew chief because he's not the plate umpire anymore. In the AL wild card, that's Tampa and Oakland. Your umpires are Fairchild behind the plate. Chad Fairchild's been getting pretty good props behind the plate in the past few years for postseason work and otherwise, so good for him. He's joined by Field and Culbreth, Bill Miller, who is the crew chief for that crew, Chris Guccione, and then your first-time postseason umpires are Lance Barrett and Adam Hammery, not Hamari, broadcasters. Hammery. Anywho, again, those are 2 more names that you will not be seeing in the championship series because they are not eligible to work the championship series. And once again, I think that the wild card games, in a way, because it's a winner-take-all game, it's not a series, it's a game, are more important in terms of who you select as a plate umpire than the division series. And I don't mean to belabor the point, but it's a winner-take-all game. There are no second chances. In the division series, at least the teams have a shot at redemption if one game doesn't work out. In the wildcard series, it's one and done. So for Everett and Fairchild to be selected to be the plate umpires for that should mean a lot. We go to the replay officials, which are Laz Diaz and Dan Asanya for the wild card. And we might see one or both of them in the championship series, you never know. The NL Division Series, now that we're going into the next round, the actual series rounds of the playoffs, the NL Division Series, St. Louis and Atlanta, and Braves fans are absolutely going to love this because Sam Holberg, the infield fly umpire from 2012, is your crew chief. And I thought this was hilarious because fans haven't gotten over it, and I realized that might be a bit callous to say, or caustic, if you will, but I still think it's funny because I'm not involved and I don't really care which team wins. But if you're a Braves fan, I can see how you'd be upset. Holbrook will be chiefing that series. Again, the Chiefs start at second base, so he has Game 3 behind the plate. That actually puts him in left field for Game 5 if you get there. So I think for a winner-take-all game to be in left field again in Atlanta is pretty funny. Again, from an observer standpoint. Get over it. Pat Holberg is the plate umpire for Game 1 of the series, and this is his first division series. How's that? Welcome to the division series round of the playoffs. For your first ever time, you're going to get the plate. Great. And then from there we go Porter for Game 2, Holbrook Game 3, Jim Wolf Game 4, Hallion Game 5, if we get to Game 5. And then Eddie Hickox is the right field umpire in Game 1, which means he will end up at first base and just short of getting a plate assignment. The NL Division Series, the wildcard team against the Los Angeles Dodgers in LA. Will Little has the plate for Game 1. Baker has it for 2. Ted Barrett's your crew chief. He has Game 3. And if necessary, Doug Eddings will have Game 4. Alfonso Marquez will have Game 5. So Teddy and Fonzie get reunited. Remember, they used to be crewmates for quite a bit. They've gone to Mexico together. They've done a whole bunch of stuff. And right field is Trip Gibson. It's his first division series. Congratulations to him. It's not Greg Gibson, it's Trip Gibson. Speaking of Greg Gibson, he was not eligible for the postseason because he missed too much time during the season. He was hurt. He went at some point to graduate from college, and he went missing for a few months because of another issue. You have to work a minimum number of games to be eligible to be considered for the postseason, so it doesn't speak to his numbers or anything. Other guys that you would think are postseason regulars that were ineligible are Dana DeMuth as a crew chief. He missed too much time. He got hurt. Jerry Lane got hurt too, and he missed too much time. And there are others that I didn't mention. No Jerry Davis in these first rounds. I said Joe and Angel, but I didn't say Jerry Davis. The AL Division Series, Twins at Yankees. Game 1 is Manny Gonzalez, your plate umpire. Game 2 is Todd Tishner. Game 3 is your crew chief, Gary Cedarstrom, who is projected to potentially get the World Series this year, according to some of the scouts out there. Game 4 plate is Barksdale. Game 5, Cooper again if we get there if necessary, and Adrian Johnson has the right field line in Game 1, so he'd end up at first base. In the AL Division Series between the wildcard team at the Houston Astros, your Game 1 plate is John Tompane, followed by Bruce Dreckman, Mark Wegner, who's the crew chief of the crew, James Hoy, Jerry Meals, who is not the crew chief of the crew, but he would get Game 5. Again, it could be a little maneuvering going on who you want there for the really important games behind home plate. Meals gets Game 5. And DJ Rayburn is the 6th on the crew. Your replay officials are Ron Culpa, Gabe Morales, Paul Nart, and Brian Onora. So those are your crews for the first 2 rounds of the postseason, the wild card game and the division series. And again, it's at least 5 umpires that I did not name, at least 5 umpires that were not on the roster to work either of these 2 rounds, who will join the existing wild card crews for the championship series. So the next big step is to see who the league championship series umpires are. They will be comprised of the veterans who did work the wildcard games, plus at least 5 different umpires who previously were not named to a postseason crew. Check us out on closecallsports.com for all your umpiring information, as well as a complete list of these crews. We'll have discussion during the series, and yep, the umpire plate scores, the accuracy scores, will be back after each and every postseason game. That's on closecallsports.com, on Twitter at Umpire Ejections, on Facebook as well, and of course, YouTube at Close Call Sports. Thanks.